Oliver, thank you for joining us on the Queer Voices Sports Podcast. It's great to have you here.
No worries.
You're actually at Met at the moment. What are you studying?
Human nutrition and dietetics.
Okay, so you're based at Llandaff?
Yeah, I'm based at Llandaff, yeah. So coming here is like change of scenery.
Yeah.
It's like
And then you're also a rugby player. So when did you get into rugby?
So I was at Pride Cymru this year and I saw the Lions stand. They'll love that I've mentioned that because I just, oh my God, this gazebo. And it caught my eye, I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds quite cool. And I said to my mates, I was like, I might give that a try. DM them on Instagram and they said, yeah, come along to the touch sessions. And I think they were in July because I was on holiday with my mate. And then as soon as they landed, it was the day after or something. So I went down there, paid some touch. And I loved it, like instantly, and everyone was so welcoming. I think the first person I talked to was Tom Andrews, who's the coach, and honestly, he was so lovely, so welcoming, got me involved straight away, and loved it ever since. And then I had my first contact game on the 3rd of August, so I never picked up a rugby ball before. Normally I played badminton or I've done swimming, and going into rugby is totally different because swimming and badminton I find is quite isolating. If I'm swimming lengths, it's like I'm thinking about what I'm having for dinner or something, like going backwards and forwards. It's a bit like tiring. It's just like, oh. But instantly when we was in summer, everyone was like laughing. Like the social aspect of it as well was really nice, and just seeing lots of people from your community in one space having fun and playing rugby, great. I mean, I've got a couple of my mates I brought along. So I brought along my friend Sam, who's straight, and the Lions welcome straight players as well. It's not like specifically just gay, trans, non-identifying people to come. It's just very welcoming. It's very inclusive. It is an inclusive club. And my friend Tommy, and I also brought along my friend Zara, who does like the medic side of it. So she's pitch side medic. She's on my course as well. We do human nutrition and dietetics together. So she's really into like her first aid. And I said to her, look, we need a medic. Do you want to come along? And she's like, oh yeah, go on, man. And she loves it. She's like, oh, great. Game on Saturday. Yeah, I'm there. Strapping everybody up, or someone gets like knocked out. She's running on. And she loves it. And it's just nice to see that everybody's really enjoying it. And it's just lovely. It is just such a nice environment. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays when we train, probably my best days. Like I love it because I wake up and I'm like, oh, I got rugby training tonight. Not so much now because it's bloody freezing. It is Baltic.
Yeah.
But no, it's fun. It's good.
They actually got 4 for the price of 1.
When
you saw the gazebo. Yeah. And had rugby been a sport that you followed, you were interested in?
Yeah, I watched it before. So I watched it a lot with my granddad when I was growing up. He loved rugby. Never really thought about playing it because I was like, oh my God, that looks way too violent. Like, I'm not doing that. But then since coming to Cardiff and seeing the rugby culture, I was like, oh, I could definitely give this a go. And some of my mates who I met in like foundation, they did rugby, and I went to go watch their games, or would come on Kincoy campus and watch the first play. And I just thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And honestly, best decision I've made. Like, absolutely love it. Like, the first I remember when I played my first game, got tackled, and I was like, that's actually not that bad. Tackled someone, I was like, oh, that's actually not that bad either. And it's just like the repetitive positive feedback that you get, as well as constructive. I love it because it's like, as well as it is, I'm very competitive. So I'm just like, okay, what do I need to improve on? And it's not like, I feel like some people think the perception of it as like, me included, I just thought, oh, it'd just be a load of like gay guys playing rugby, and it wouldn't be serious. It'd just be like very stereotypical, but it's not. Like, I brought Zara along to the first game on the bus, and she's like, oh my God, this is just, you're just a group of lads. And she's like, she was like shocked herself. And the IGR as well, it's like, it's proper rugby. And I think people don't think that, but it is proper rugby. Like, I love it. Honestly, it's insane.
When you were kind of looking at rugby before and you're watching it with your granddad, did you feel like it was an environment that as a gay man you would be welcomed into? Is that part of why you hadn't got involved?
Yeah, I think it was definitely the stigma around it. And speaking to a load of my mates who had played rugby in the past, I'd be like, what? Like, and like the stereotypical like rugby lad, it's like very boisterous, and like hearing about some like initiations and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, like, no. And going to watch it as well, like people get into like tussles and like fights and like big boys just going straight at people, and it's like, whoa. But then, I don't know, something like overnight, it's just like, yeah, well, let's just give it a go. And and like I said, keep saying, absolutely love it. But yeah, no, definitely. I think it was the stigma around it. And I feel like at the Lions, we're doing a very good job of trying to break that stigma, because when new players join, they're like, oh, wow, and they're really enjoying it, and they go, this is not what I expected, and for the better. So my mate Sam, who played county rugby, he came along, and the main reason, well, initially, he won't mind me saying, he did turn around and say to me, he was like, what if they all, like, hit on me and stuff? And I was like, shut up, Sam. I was like, just come along, have fun. And he's like, okay, cool. Comes along to his first session, and he's like, that is the nicest training session I've ever had. He was just shocked. And he came back to he came back to the next one, he came again and again and again and again. Unfortunately, he broke his nose when we played against the Plymouth Dolphins, so he's been out. But he sent a message to the group chat, oh guys, honestly, this is the best season I've had at rugby. And he is amazing at rugby. He is amazing, and he loves the environment. He feels comfortable. He feels safe, and he has got a lot of experience. And one of his main issues, he said, was he didn't want to take somebody's spot who was gay or trans from the team sheet. So he plays 9, and we've got quite a lot of 9s. And he was like, we reassured him. He was like, look, like, you've been selected. No one's going to be like, oh, you're straight, you can't play. And he was very, okay, but like, you know, and he just loves it so much. And when I first met him, because he came to swimming with me, I thought, I say this all the time, like, he was just like a stereotypical rugby lad, like, very just like boisterous, He's like, oh, I could beat you at this, and what I've learned from my friendship with Sam, because we've become quite close, is don't judge a book by its cover, because like, that is a mate for life now. And he's lovely.
Yeah, it is funny, I think, sometimes, where it obviously happens in the straight community that they judge books by their cover when it comes to queer people, but actually a lot of us will do the same thing with straight people, because especially when they're in a culture like a rugby one, where there is a stereotype of how they behave and how they interact with other people. Yeah, that sounds like a really kind of mutually beneficial friendship that you've got there.
Yeah.
And so do you find at the Lions that there's like a good mix of people who've come into the sport, like you have, having not played rugby before, got involved with Lions, and then people like Sam who actually have got a long background in rugby, and then they've come in?
Yeah, definitely. So Tom, Joel, so Tom is our coach, Joel's our captain. They played in straight teams. I'm not 100% sure what level it was. They'll probably have a go at me for that, because it's like, you should know. I'm pretty sure it's quite high up, but they played high-level rugby. So did Jacob, I believe. Dan Pullin, Jenko, Hal. So they've all got a load of experience under their belts. And when you go and you see the experience that they've had and they're implementing it onto you, it's really, really nice. So our backs coach is Ethan, and he's had a lot of experience as well. I believe he had an injury and was out for a bit and has come back. And he really takes his time with me, and so does Yayan. And both of them, they're teaching me like the basics of sidestepping, or like what channel to follow down the wing. And it's just really nice to have that kind of like, in a sense, that father figure kind of sense, which I feel like a lot of queer people wouldn't have had. I most certainly didn't. So when I go there, I would say I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I don't want to let them down, because it is like, you don't perform, then it's, oh, I've let them down, I've let the team down. But they don't turn around and they're like, oh, you should have done this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They'll tell you what you've done wrong, but they won't demoralize you or make you feel like an idiot or anything like that. It's very, like a sandwich. So it's like positive, negative, positive, and it's very uplifting because it makes you want to go back and it makes you want to train and it makes you want to meet those targets that they've set you. So like after a game, I'd message Joel or Yayan and be like, "Hey, I just wanted some feedback on my performance." And it's not like you're doing good; it's like paragraphs, and it's like you can take the time out of your day as well as you're working and you've got your family and rugby. You're taking your time out of day to send that message, and like that just means a lot to me because it's like you care, I care, so I'm going to give my all, put it into practice and do the best we can.
Yeah.
And we've started the season off very well. So the morale in the club's really good. We're getting new people join. The on social media, we're getting a lot of views and attention, and it's going really well.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear what a positive experience you've had since joining the Lions. What position do you play?
Winger, number 11.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think? I know you said obviously before we started recording about the fact that you see yourself staying in Cardiff now because you've been having such a great experience here. Hypothetically, were you to move to another place and there wasn't an IGR team, there wasn't a Cardiff Lions team where you moved to, do you think that the introduction you've had to playing rugby this year is one where you would feel comfortable going and playing for a traditional club?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had... we were playing... who were we playing against? So they get some messages and they go, 2 players have dropped out of this team. Is any of the backs available to play for, I don't know, a team that's not in the IGR? And I would, 100%. We've played against... Who did we play against? I think it was Lanarkshire we played against last Friday. And we had a couple of their boys come onto our team, kind of mix it around. And I'd certainly do it. It'd be... To be fair, I wouldn't say like the changing rooms or anything would be different. Like boys will be boys. Obviously, you do get your odd 1 or 2 that probably would be a bit uncomfortable with it. That's on them.
Yeah.
But I would just treat it as a normal game of rugby, like I do when I play with the Lions.
And when you have played against teams like that, have you found that the kind of reception that team gives you,
it's a very
chat on the pitch is the same as when you're playing?
It's very difficult because it's all the interactions I've had with the players that we played against. So the team we played against last Friday, my first game of the season. I think the first game of the season I played, it was like a pre-season friendly, was St Brennan's in Bristol. Lovely. They were so nice, very hospitable. We had a barbecue with them afterwards, chatting. Lovely group of lads. Again, with Lanarkshire, however, it's not the players, it's people that have come to watch their team.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm on the wing, and as I was walking towards the wing, you could just hear it. Like, you just heard comments or stuff. And me, personally, that just fires me up. That just keeps me going. Like, not that I enjoy it, because I don't, but that fires me up.
Yeah.
And I lock in, I'm like, okay,
so
cool.
These were, explicitly homophobic.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Transphobic as well, given the players on the team? Or?
I think it was definitely homophobic comments that we had, because we had a couple of our supporters in that stand, and one of them came over and was like, yeah, they're being really homophobic. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could definitely, I could hear them. I can deal with that, and I will apply that into the game. But then I look at other players on the team and I'm just like, and unfortunately, it's something that you've got to realise that it will happen. It just will happen. Some people see it differently, but everyone in our team supports each other. So if one person is getting hate or anything like that, we all go in. So we posted a social media video, like a TikTok trend. Stephen, he bloody loves a TikTok, which I am happy to be a part of. And the comments on that it was quite eye-opening, to be honest. So a lot of them were very homophobic comments. It was like, oh, some of them are only here for the showers and blah, 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 and calling benders and whatever. And as well as we laughed at them, and we were just like, what the hell? Like, I do feel that will deter some people away because I'll look on social media, they'll see this reception and I'll be like, And I remember just messaging Stephen, I was like, can I apply to some of these? And he was like, yeah, go for it, just keep it funny. And I did. And that just fires me up again for the next game.
Yeah.
The next game. And it's just, some people would get more worked up about it and I can understand why. But that's just how some people would take in that hate. And then I don't remember when it was. I think it was in. Do you remember when all the commotion happened with like the racial tensions were really high again? I was walking back from Tesco and this woman and her kids, and they had she had a hijab on, and these two guys just went up behind her and ripped it off. And it was like, well, what the hell? So I went over and I said, oh, you okay? Like, do you want me to walk you home? And then I got some abuse myself. And I put in the group chat, I said, oh, guys, just be careful. Like, there are some about. And the messages that I got from people just being like, oh, my God, hope you're okay. Where are you? Do you need me to pick you up? Private messages as well, being like, oh, I hope you're okay. Within the space of like 2 minutes, honestly, my phone was just constantly ding, 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 ding. And then at training as well, they just were very supportive, and it was really, really nice. And, you know, it was just really nice to see that. And it is that community's coming together. And, yeah, nothing I've experienced before. It's insane. Yeah. Insane. So.
Yeah, I mean, I firmly believe that there's more allies and more anti-racists out there than there are homophobic people, transphobic, and racist people. But sometimes it kind of feels like for an ally to speak up, they need to hear that something bad like that's happened, whereas a racist or a transphobe or a homophobe will happily just be that with absolutely no catalyst.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned the changing rooms there, and that's an environment that for a lot of queer athletes, queer players, is a challenging one because of the stereotypes that straight people, or stereotypical views that straight people have about a queer person being in that environment. Badminton, there's doubles, predominantly singles, and swimming, relays, but predominantly an individual sport. Do you feel that you were maybe drawn to those sports initially because there perhaps weren't those same sort of risk of experiences in changing rooms?
I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult one. I'd say yes and no. But yeah, it has played a factor, I'd say, just because of the culture, and you know, you always get like one ringleader in that sense. But however, I'm quite an outspoken person, so I found myself as that person.
Sort of getting ahead and controlling.
Yeah, and I feel like it was a sense of I need to go in here and get control before all the focus is brought onto me.
Yeah.
In a sense of, which isn't healthy to do at all. In badminton here, we had 2 trans players and swimming and one other gay guy. And it was just like the, oh, you two going to get together sort of thing. But it's just like, no. Like, no. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I never felt disrespected, but at times would feel a little uncomfortable. But in comparison to playing rugby in the Lions, I know it's just nothing of the sort, like, at all. Yeah. Like, but I have spoken to some people and they were like, oh, I just wouldn't go to training today because of certain things that have happened, or I feel uncomfortable. One of my mates back home who's gay, he does long distance running, and he wouldn't go because he was like, it's very toxic as well as performance, but they just go in at you and it's like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Was it because you were doing and all this stuff? And it's like, he was just like, the balance is just not nice. So I feel like that made him step back from the sport that he was doing, which was sad because he was a really good runner and he loved it. But he was like, things happen.
Would you say that you've got queer friends who aren't involved in sport or are less involved than they might be because of their sexuality and
Oh,
either
100%.
the perceived reaction that they think they'll get or the experiences they have had.
100%. I think a lot of it stems from trauma. I mean, a lot of my mates, they were openly out in school. I came out in college. I think I was 18, 19? 18 I was. And they'd get bullied. And they would see PE and be like, no, I'm not doing that. And they would skip PE class or something. Definitely has stopped them from going because it's like that instant, yeah, they might be gay, but also I'm not ready to step in with that, which is absolutely fine. I said to one of my mates, I was like, do you want to come to play rugby? Because his brother plays rugby. And he was like, maybe not yet. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, I want him to play because he's really good. He's really, really, really good. But he's just not ready. So I think, I definitely do think there's other people as well because yeah, definitely. And I've had, since joining the Lions as well, I've had a lot of messages from like accounts that have no like picture or something. So it's like a new account that's been made and it's like, oh, I see you play for the Lions. I'm in the closet. How do you find the session? And it's like, oh, you know, like, why don't you come down? And he's like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And it's like, like, everyone's at a different stage in their journey. Yeah. You know, there's no set point of when you need to come out. Some people come out later on in life. Some people come out earlier on. Some people don't come out at all. And I do think it is just breaking down those stigmas and stereotypes, and it would aid people to join. But then it's also just personal factors of a player who wants to join. It just depends on if they're ready or not to join. But the Lions are very welcoming, and they're
that's where I think like sport. I used to be a PE teacher, and one of the big messages I tried to get across to kids is that sport's such a wide thing that there is a sport for everyone, whatever size, shape, interest that they are as an athlete, or someone that doesn't yet realise they're an athlete. But I think sport can feel so closed off that we will never know how many queer and trans athletes the sport world missed out on.
No, definitely.
Because the doors were closed.
No, because so going back to that Tommy, I said to him, come to a session. He's like, oh, God, no. He's from Talbot, and he's got 3 older brothers. I think they all played rugby. And Tommy was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I just said, look, just come. And he's like, all right, then. And he was hitting the bags, and they were all like, Jesus Christ, like, you can tackle. And he's like, oh, I played it before, but like, it was when his dad would be like, we're going to rugby, and he didn't enjoy it. And he started centre and would just fly into tackles and stuff. Like, and I just look at him just like, Jesus Christ. And I love it because when we start, he's literally there and I'm there. And we'll laugh and joke and whatever, but then when we need to get real, it's like an instant switch and we're like locked in. And he recently got moved to the forwards because I said, so he played flanker last game, I think, when we played against Hull. He did a training session and he was like, I don't like being flanker. I was like, I don't like it. And I was like, look, they put you there for a reason. Go out and have fun. And I guarantee you'll like it. Because Tommy's like me. If I don't get it first time, I don't like it. Absolutely hate it. And he came on and I remember it so vividly. We set up, as a breakdown, set up a pod. He was on point for the ball and he just went bang into this next, like handing them off and gained a few yards. And we were just like, they stood still and I was like, Jesus. And everyone was there like, go on. And every time there was a breakdown or he was that point and he was on that ball and he loved it. And he's turned around and said to me, he's like, I'm really appreciative that you've brought me in to this. Because he was like, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. Like, this is your thing. I was like, well, no, it's not. I was like, I joined and I wanted you to join. Yeah. It's lovely. And I get to do something with my mate. Yeah. And yeah, but he loves it as well. That's great. He just, honestly, just watching him like chops people down and stuff. They'll be up and as soon as he says like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm like, thank God I don't need to run all the way around. Because if Tommy is there, it's like, nah, I can't do this. And it's just like, but like, Me and Tommy, you wouldn't think we're rugby players. Like, not at all. So they call us Demon Twinks, which is like, okay. I mean, if I speak to someone and it's like, oh yeah, I play rugby, they're like, oh, okay. But Tommy, bless him, I was with my mate Kieran, and I was like, oh, me and Tommy going to training. And he was like, okay, like, all right, Tommy. And then he was like, no, actually, and sent a photo of him at training. He's like, oh my God, I did not think that. But no, it's lovely because then also the other aspect of that is when my friends who don't want to get into sport or don't want to do rugby, they come and watch, and it's that sense of community again.
Yeah.
And it's lovely.
That's the thing with inclusion, everyone benefits. You've benefited there, Tommy's benefited, the Lions have benefited because they got two players now, the supporters watching as well.
No, honestly, and it's lovely. Like, we had a Halloween party and everyone brought their friends, you know, parents would bring their kids, their wives, their boyfriends, their girlfriends, and I brought my mates, and it was just lovely. And then we all went out afterwards, and it was great fun. It was lovely. Yeah, I've had really good nights out with them as well. Like the social life after is really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. It was great to chat with Oliver to hear about his journey into rugby and playing with the Cardiff Lions, how welcoming the club was to him and his friends, and why the Lions helped him find a love of rugby that might not otherwise have come about. In the next episode, we talk about coming out, the reasons many players still feel like they have to hide their sexuality in a rugby environment, lad culture, and mental health.